What's up, hoopers? Back again with another basketball review video, and it's one that I have been looking forward to doing. It is the Wilson NCAA EVO Nxt basketball in the brightest color that they had available. I'll talk about that and I'll talk about this. Let's get into it. So, of course, 60 seconds for all of you who don't have an attention span longer than 1 minute and don't like watching long videos. Here's that recap just for you. So, the Wilson EVO Nxt NCAA basketball is surprisingly a really nice basketball. Now, I was wondering if it was going to be very similar to the previous or like original EVO Nxt, and honestly, it feels somewhat similar, but it feels a little bit heavier than that basketball, and I don't really know why. The more important point is that if you're wondering how does it size up to the old Wilson solution, it feels different, the weight's about the same, but honestly the feel is somewhat similar as well as far as the gameplay. You're going to have the same weight, which is going to allow you to have that similar shot and feel as the Wilson solution. It feels more like a broken in solution basketball. It's not as sticky as when you first get a solution. Once that film kind of wears off and you break it in a little bit, and it's like that bright red color before it turns to dark red color, that's exactly what this basketball feels like. So if you're looking for a solution and you haven't been able to find one, this basketball might be the next best thing. Now, for those of you who want more B-roll, more details about my experience with this basketball, let's get into that. Now, one thing that I didn't point out in that 60-second review is how the ball actually played. Now, this basketball surprisingly plays really, really well. Now, I wasn't shocked at the feel of it. I knew that the EVO Nxt was going to feel nice. I have one of the older ones, I guess like the original high school version. I have one of those and it feels incredible. My daughter calls it the marshmallow basketball because of how bright and soft the basketball is. But I asked her, between that one and this one, which one did she feel was softer, and she actually thought that this one felt softer. And I don't know if that's because it's newer or something else, but I think that the original EVO feels a little bit softer, but this basketball, it feels a little bit nicer. There's something strange about the original EVO where it doesn't feel quite like a real basketball. It's kind of hard to explain. It feels almost slightly like a novelty item. It feels really, really nice, but when you actually use it, there's so many strange things that you have to get used to with the size, the color, the weight, the bounce. It's just really difficult to get used to that. Now, not to say that there aren't a few things that you need to get used to with this basketball. Now, the dribbling is going to be a little tricky at first. Part of that might be the embossed logoing. Now, I know this colorway is bright. I actually like it. I wouldn't have chosen this color originally. If I had my choice, I probably would have went with just straight black. But when I was told that this basketball was back available online, there were only two colors that were available. This color and pine green. And pine green looked whack, so I decided I'm gonna go with the highlighter Volt, because that's honestly, it's one of my favorite colors. But to have this bright ass color up against this bright ass basketball, I knew it was just gonna look crazy. But surprisingly, it's really easy to find my basketball inside of the gym. I know where it is from a distance. You can't miss this thing. It's a little annoying when you watch it kind of spin on rotations because it's not like the prettiest looking thing. It's just, it looks like a circus basketball. But outside of that, it plays like a really, really nice NCAA college level basketball. Now, the one thing that I'll point out that I think is a huge pro about this basketball is the actual weight of the basketball. Now, a lot of us in the comments are always talking about the weight of this basketball. A lot of you don't like how light the Wilson official NBA basketball is. Some of you didn't like how light the first EVO Nxt was. This basketball, in my opinion, is a nice in-between between those. Now, it's not too much heavier than the EVO Nxt, but I would say it's a lot heavier than the Wilson official. But I mean, there aren't too many other basketballs on the market that are as light as that basketball, and part of that is because of the materials. Now, I would highly suggest this basketball if, one, you don't have an EVO NXT. If you already have an EVO, don't bother, just keep that. You don't necessarily need this one because you have something that kind of feels the same. You could get away with getting like a Bad and Elite and kind of the same kind of idea. Now, if you've been thinking about getting this basketball, or you used to have a Wilson solution and you've been looking for something that could possibly replace that, this is a pretty good option. Now, you're not going to get anything that is as good as the Wilson solution, in my opinion. Grail basketball, that's just my opinion. But after playing with this basketball, I was pleasantly surprised at how similar it played as the Wilson solution. So if you're, like I said, if you're looking for something that's similar to that, the Wilson EVO Nxt NCAA is a pretty good option. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you have this basketball, if you've been able to compare it to the original EVO, or if you've been able to compare it to solution, let me know what color you have in the comments as well. I'm eager to see if I'm the only person who chose to get a bright ass color in this basketball. Anyway, please like, subscribe, the comments. I love answering all your guys' questions and girls' questions. I love all of them. It really just engages me with all of you. There are so many of you who are coming back and leaving comments all the time on these videos. Shout out to all of you. Shout out to all the hoopers out there leaving all these comments. I'm constantly putting out these videos for all of you. Shout out to all of you. And until next time, you know what it is. What do? We keep hooping. Duh. All we do is hoop.